Hello, ladies. My name is Rusty. And today, I'm the bartender, the drink steward, your shield and your sword. Because today, we drink like Vikings. Now, this is the modern speakeasy, and in case the keen-eyed of you have not noticed, I have the Assassin's Creed logo tattooed on my shoulder with Ezio's Creed. And guess what? Tomorrow, or today, depending on when this video gets published, the new Ubisoft game, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, is released. And man, am I excited. Man, I wish Ubisoft could have sponsored me, but I'm nowhere near big enough. In fact, I only have a few videos out. So, with that being said, we're going to make a drink set for Vikings. So, Vikings don't really drink liquor. I mean, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they ransacked places and found rum, maybe whiskey. I'm not really sure. You know, they pretty much took whatever they wanted. But when I think Vikings, I think ships. And when I think ships, I think ale. And Viking and Scandinavian culture, I also think mead. So I think honey, and I think ale. But this is a cocktail show, so I can't just throw some honey and some mead and say, here you go. So I'm going to try to create a drink. A drink suitable for Valhalla. And I'm going to call it Valhalla's Goblet. Because I have, well, this is more of a chalice, but a mug. This is a ceramic mug from my local Ren Fair. And we're going to make a drink. So, what is going into Valhalla's chalice? Well, Valhalla's Goblet, Valhalla's Mug, Valhalla's Cocktail. I have some Butter Bourbon. As you can see the particulates here. This is a fat-washed bourbon. And I'm doing some research. The fattiness, I think, would really play a nice role here. So we're going to do some fat-washed butter bourbon. Now, by the time I realized what day it was, I ran out to the store and could not find mead. And here in Pennsylvania, the liquor stores are closed. So I had to come up and improvise. So we went with ale. Now it is Christmas time. So I have Troegs Mad Elf. Now this is the Grand. Mad Elf, as you don't know, is a strong ale with honey and cranberries. Well, honey and ale, hey, that's kind of like mead. So we are going to be using Troegs Mad Elf. I'm not going to be opening this one because it is late and I don't want to drink an entire liter of strong ale in one sitting at this time of night, but that will happen on another day. We have obviously our mug, we have our jigger, we have our knife, which we'll need later. We have a shaker because this will be a shaken drink. I have honey syrup. This is, as you can see, it's very fluid. This is organic honey that I have turned into syrup by mixing it 2 to 1 with water. So it's a little bit easier to pour and it doesn't congeal in cold cocktails. It's also shelf stable because it's 2 to 1. I have apple juice because we want to bring in some of that apple notes because apples are really strong in Norse tradition. The golden apples are what give the gods their powers and their immortal life. There is an apple tree that is said to hold a sword that gives a very King Arthur vibe. There's a lot of apples in Norse mythology, very similar to Greek mythology, and apples have made their way to Christian beliefs here as well. So the apples are very important. So we have 100% pure apple juice. And what good is an apple recipe without some sort of apple garnish? So we have a Honeycrisp apple. This is going to be an interesting drink as I've not prepared for this. This could be very fantastic or quite terrible. We're going to find out together as we drink to Valhalla. So with that said, my name is Rusty. This is the Modern Speakeasy. And tonight, we dine in hell, to quote some Spartans, because that makes sense. So here's what I'm thinking. 2 ounces butter bourbon, 4 ounces ale, honey cranberry ale in this case, 1 ounce honey syrup, 1 ounce applesauce garnished with apple. Who knows? This could be fantastic. This could be terrible. We're going to open pour, so we don't actually need the strainer that I have out. This goblet is going to fill up very slowly because it is a 16-ounce goblet. Well, I only plan on really making one of these. So hopefully I put in enough ice to kind of fill up the rest of the volume, but we shall see. So let's get started to drinking to Valhalla. First, Butter Bourbon. Two ounces. I want to get some of those particulates because Vikings. Now, Butter Bourbon is a really smooth yet fatty cocktail. Now, ale. Like I said, I'm not drinking the big one. We're going with the small one. As far as I can tell, it's the same thing, just different packaging. Four ounces. They didn't have refrigeration back then, so all of these are at room temperature. One ounce honey syrup. One ounce apple juice. So now we have a honey, cranberry, honey, apple flavor palette with a buttered bourbon. I have no idea how this is going to taste, but let's grab our ice. Big old ice cube. I could use a bar spoon, but Vikings don't use spoons. Okay, we're going to use the bar spoon. Don't have the leverage, apparently. Two points for getting it into the other shaker. That's a lot of ice. Hopefully that will fill my goblet. See, ready? Ice cube. Shake. Now, I should have mentioned beer foams. So it's building pressure while the ice is trying to control said pressure. It is frothy. We're going to open pour. That did not quite fill my chalice. Goblet, mug, whatever. Now, we have an apple. We're going to use a knife and create a garnish. Now, this is a Honeycrisp apple. As far as I know, Vikings have not had the pleasure of understanding the deliciousness of a Honeycrisp apple. We're just going to take a peel and float it on top. actually floating pretty well. Never mind, it's slowly sinking. How? Truly, how does this taste? To Valhalla. On the nose, I'm getting apple, ale, and honey. Ooh. Ooh. I'm getting the Mad Elf. I'm getting the ale here. Very strong ale forward. Followed by the smooth butter bourbon. And then ending with crisp, fresh apple. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what glacier you find your ice as a Viking. Probably not as nice as my clear ice, but this is really good. The honey plus the ale creates a mead-like finish. I get a strong honey wine. So it's a strong honey ale, I guess. Being that it's not mead, it's not grape, it's barley, it's beer. That's really tasty. And that butter bourbon almost disappears entirely from the Mad Elf, which makes sense. It's a strong ale. It's very strong on flavor. But then the freshness of the apple and the smooth, buttery balance of that butter bourbon really make this something pretty ingenious. I feel like the ratio is not perfect. But it's good. It's a really good starting point. Let me add a little bit of apple juice. About another ounce. I really feel like we're going to do this. I'd probably garnish it with that apple slice. Honey crisps are so good. They're not really even in season right now, but so we garnished it with the apple. I added a little bit more apple juice. How did that work? Added more apple. Brought out more honey too. I'm getting more of the honey. Now, I'm not a huge apple juice guy. So maybe that has something to do with me kind of just feeling on the edge here, but taking the flavor profiles of the Vikings and putting it into a cocktail with 20 minutes of preparation. The Viking haircut, the Ouroboros tattoo, and the Assassin's Creed tattoo. Really doing it all justice, I believe. Although, I'm pretty sure there's an Ouroboros in Viking mythology. Probably not called Ouroboros, but Norse mythology, rather. This is really good. Let me give it one more tasting. So, up front, Mad Elf. That strong ale, followed by honey and the butter bourbon, and then chased with apple juice. It's really delicious. Specialty drink, probably not quite perfect, but I'm impressed. I'm going to enjoy this drink while I wait for Valhalla to come out so I can purchase, download, and start playing. Sadly, I'm an adult and I cannot play tonight. Well, maybe tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. Maybe sometime soon I'll be able to play Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Ubisoft, thank you so much for the content you create. Always looking for sponsorship deals for things like this. This was a lot of fun. And yeah, till next time, thank you so much for joining me today here at the Modern Speakeasy. My name is Rusty, your shield hand, your sword hand, your best mate. The man to slug back some ale and drink some drinks to. The man you shall find at Valhalla. But until then, I'm your bartender, your bar back, and your bar wench. Till next time, this is Rusty signing off at the Modern Speakeasy. Fighting, stealing, and drinking forever.